You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, where would you like to start today? Your call.
Right now, I think the big story is going to be, whether we like it or not, but I think it's long overdue, is the issue of homelessness and the fact that it is now front and center in the faces of a provincial government, not just this one, but governments before, that, as far as I'm concerned, have always tried to turn this into a Montreal issue. It's a Montreal problem. And indeed, half of the 10,000 homeless people we have in Quebec are believed to be living in the Montreal area. But that said, I think there's been a change of urgency, a change of direction, and it's got nothing to do with, these numbers coming out, establishing that, the number of homeless people in Quebec has increased by more than 40%. I think it has a lot more to do, say, with the mayor of Gatineau publicly walking up one side of Social Services Minister Lynette Carmont and down the other. I think it's got more to do with front-page photos of homeless camps being set up in Joliette. All of a sudden, this is a CAC problem. That's CAC country. And that's an issue that people will be talking about. It's not an issue the government likes to have hung around its neck. And they came to the amazing conclusion today that, if you build houses, you'll have fewer homeless people. And you're saying, whoa, wait a second. Who thought of that? Well, I'd like to say it's the government. In fact, I remember 7 or 8 years ago, I was interviewing the director of the old brewing mission. And he had mentioned that they had, with the feds, and I believe with the province, begun a program of putting homeless people in houses, in homes. And it was working very well. I'm not sure, the scale. I'm pretty sure it's still going on. And indeed, I'm happy to say I got a notice today that the old brewing mission will be participating in this so-called summit. Do you ever notice that when there's a problem that no one wants to solve, they call it a summit? They all get together and everyone talks and they go, we'll have a statement for later in the day, and nothing seems to change.
But it's not that they don't want to solve it; they just don't know how to solve it. Right?
So they throw money at it, right? Here's more money. You figure it out.
Yeah, there is no way to solve this.
And here's the thing. To be fair, 24 hours ago, I was being less than complimentary to Mayor Valerie Plante, but today she hit the nail on the head when she was asked about the government announcing an additional $15.5 million to bring the full total for constructing shelters to $20 million. She laughed out loud, and she's 100% right. And to be fair, the government's saying, well, these are for emergency shelters, but you know what? Emergency suggests something dropped out of a ceiling tile and startled you. This has literally been going on for the past 5 years. We're seeing it. It's a combination of things. Yes, it's the housing shortage, so it's that guy's fault. It's mental illness, so it's that guy's fault. No, it's the flood of drug abuse that's happening, not just in Quebec, but across the country, so it's somebody else's fault. It's all of our problems. It's all of our concern. It's something we're going to have to solve. And by being pious and creating a lexicon around homelessness, and saying, well, we have to be careful how we describe this, or we have to be careful how we deal with these issues. This is an emergency. It's a slow motion emergency, but it's a growing slow motion emergency. And the fact is, it's not, and perhaps as I say, that's the reaction we're getting from the government now. It's not a Montreal problem. It's a regional problem. And why is it a regional problem? Because it's not, les drogués. It's not, the lazy. We're seeing homelessness as the final phase of a sort of downward spiral that a lot of people who not that long ago may have been doing fine, but for any number of reasons, and whether it is addiction or whether it is mental illness, they're out on the street. And it's a complex problem. Guess what? I can't think of a more complex mechanism than the Quebec Civil Service. I'm sure there's enough brain power in there. I'm sure there's enough money to deal with this. I think what we need is the political will. We had a little taste of it today. We'll see how much we get tomorrow. But God help us if this summit ends like so many other summits with, thank you and good night. It's the weekend, and maybe 6 months down the road we'll get some report that's not going to be acted upon. What was the point?
You know,
But it
we
will,
talked to
you know.
James Hughes earlier. No, Natasha, as Jim is saying this, we think about what James Hughes said, and I was surprised when he said it. And you're right, Jim. You know, we're now dealing with a situation, I think he said affordable housing or the lack of, for a lot of people not being able to make the rent is their first trip into homelessness.
Yeah, and he says they're not necessarily ending
Not
up
into
in
shelters, yeah, but
they're
still.
ending up homeless and without a base per se. And it's due to rent evictions and rent increases, and they just can't
Absolutely.
keep up.
And the lack of housing.
But once again, this is, you know, when we look at rent evictions, they may get people angry, and some of them may flirt with the border between legal and illegal, or certainly whether it's morally reprehensible to rent evict someone who's been there for years because you just want to make some money. But then plenty of landlords will call in the show and say, listen, I didn't start this as a charity. I'm a business person. I'm here to make money. And you can't really argue with that. But that's why we have governments. We're supposed to step in and say, okay, enough's enough here. Yeah, you're going to make your money, but in the meantime, you know, we're going to try and staunch this wound.
Yeah.
Okay, but I got to tell you
as well the 20-20-20 plan, or was it 30-33 for the city of Montreal for new construction, right? And I think 1/3 of it has to be social housing.
Yeah, which is being ignored on a regular basis by developers. So
nobody's touching it.
Here's what I want to say. I'm a landlady, and and I'm listen, I consider myself very lucky to have been able to buy a property at a very good price, and that the value of it has increased massively. However, because my assessment was done at the height of the pandemic, when it was worth way more than we could ever sell it for now, our taxes went up. The rate for the taxes went up at the same time, and our rents haven't. Our rents can only go up a little bit, and it is hurting, man. It is like hundreds and hundreds of dollars out of pocket on a monthly basis, and I'm not alone. I'm not going to rent evict. I don't want to do that, but I think the city has a serious role to play in alleviating some of the pressure that's on landlords so they don't feel tempted to do the wrong thing.
Let me predict what the city is going to say. We'd like to, but the problem is we'd like to give you a break, Natasha, but until Quebec realizes that we can't rely on property taxes as our main source of revenue,
there you go.
You're out of luck.
Yeah.
That's basically it. You're right. Jim, I want to move on while we still have a minute here. We didn't talk about this, I don't think, yesterday. The WestJet Pierre Poilievre fiasco, where he went on the speaker and talked to a plane full of mainly delegates who had been to the convention. Yeah. Did you hear what he said today?
No, I'm afraid not.
For folks who didn't, when he was asked about this by a reporter, if he'd like to apologize, because, you know, the union of flight attendants and whatever thought
they were justifiably angry.
Right. Well, here's what he said.
I think that the union should apologize for trying to silence freedom of speech. The crew invited me to give a speech, and they did that multiple times. And I think it was because people who work on airplanes, people who work in restaurants, people who work building things, love my message. People on the plane were just delighted with my common sense remarks.
I don't know what to say to that. I cut it down. He said more, but
you didn't turn around and say, "And next time I'm going to fly the damn plane."
Look, I don't know what to say to that other than, you know what, a little humility would have been nice there, but it is Pierre Poilievre, so maybe that shouldn't have been expected.
It's a good thing they have barf bags on planes.
Oh, Jim,
Oh my!
Thank you.
I don't know.